Chosen one, this message didn't arrive by chance. It was time to reach you in this exact moment. Something invisible has aligned to bring you here, because what your energy just exposed, your mind is now ready to understand. You have been noticing the split between what people say and what you feel in the room. You are not imagining it. Your body has been reading a language their words tried to hide. What if I told you they heard what you didn't say? And that is why some of them are pulling back right now. They were listening to your frequency, not your sentences, and it shook the mask loose. This video will show you how your silent alignment exposed the gap in their performance, why compliments can carry fear, and how to trust what your spirit already knew before anyone spoke. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Stay through the end, because the final revelation will confirm why walking away was never weakness. It was the moment the code unlocked. When energy speaks louder than compliments. Before dawn you woke from a strange half-dream. A long table, faces lit from below as if by candlelight, mouths moving in praise while the air cracked like static. No sound reached you, yet you felt waves rolling off each person. Tight, guarded, measuring. Then, a single line rose in the quiet space behind your ribs. Not every smile is safe light. You opened your eyes and the room was dark, but something in you had shifted. That inner whisper did not accuse. It confirmed. The dream was not random theater. It was memory arranged as symbol, your spirit replaying scenes you once ignored so you could finally see the current beneath the compliments. Tonight, or whenever you are hearing this, that same current is drawing a circle around your life and saying, "Look again." Energy was speaking the whole time. Maybe you remember being the kid who could not settle in classrooms where the teacher said, "Great work," yet seemed restless whenever your hand went up. You remember group chats where friends hyped your idea but never showed when it mattered. Family dinners where an aunt praised how strong you are with a face that tightened when others clapped. You left rooms feeling wrong for noticing the mismatch, wondering if you were too sensitive, too suspicious, too much. You replayed lines in your head. "They congratulated me. Why do I feel cold?" And then talked yourself out of it because everyone else seemed fine. That pattern, praise on the surface, pressure underneath, trained you to doubt your inner instruments. You learned to smile back, to shrink the reed, to keep the peace. Yet the unease never left. It only hid in your body, filing reports for a day like this. What if every one of those moments was data in a sacred design? What if the confusion you carried was not failure to fit in, but an early alert system that the unseen architecture of your life was already active? Scripture says that the Eternal does not see as humans see. People look at the face, but the Holy One looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16 verse 7. That same deeper sight touches you when you stand in truth. Psalm 139 verse 12 says, "Even the darkness is not dark to the divine. Night shines like day." If that light burns in you, then no social script can fully hide what moves in the shadows around you. You were never overreacting, you were reading the real layer of the room. Your path has been curated to teach you that energetic literacy. Each odd compliment, each drained ride home, each ache behind the smile was a coded lesson. Trust the layer under language. Think about the little glitches that kept showing up once you started listening. Deja vu in places you had never been. A hum under your skin when certain names lit your phone. Dreams that placed you beside people who later showed their truth in daylight. Lights flickering when a fake apology hit the call. Goosebumps at the exact moment someone said they were so proud, even though you sensed their envy tightening the air. Zechariah 4 verse 10 warns us not to despise small beginnings and speaks of the 7 eyes that range through the earth. Ancient language for divine perception that scans what we gloss over. Those small moments were not trivial. They were breadcrumb signals marking your awakening. Energy threads crossed your path like trail markers, and you felt them even when you lacked words. There came a day when the internal meter stopped apologizing. You sat in a meeting, someone delivered polished praise, and instead of rushing to prove gratitude, you let the silence breathe. In that gap you heard it, a faint crackle that was not sound but knowing. Luke 8 verse 17 tells us nothing hidden stays buried, and you watched it unfold in real time. Their smile flickered, their eyes cut sideways, their story shifted a degree too far. Your nervous system exhaled because it finally had permission to believe its own report. Alignment does not usually arrive as thunder. It lands as recognition, like a lens being wiped clean, like settling into a chair built for you. In that settling, safety grows, not because everyone is kind, but because you can now read what is kind and what only acts kind under light. As this awareness deepens, you start to understand that awakening is less about adding new powers and more about recovering ones you buried to survive rooms that did not value clear sight. Under the habits, under the learned smile, lives an archetypal memory. You came wired to sense current, to discern vibration, to serve as lamp. Ephesians 5 verse 13 says anything exposed by the light becomes visible. Once visible, it becomes light. That means what your spirit uncovers does not simply shame the dark. It offers it a chance to transform. You are not here to police every person. You are here to remember who you are so you can stand without distortion. The recovery of that core identity is the quiet revolution underway as you listen now. Here is where activation begins, slow but sure. Instead of muting your reactions, you start to honor them. When your chest tightens at praise, you get curious. When you feel light after someone's presence, you lean in. When you sense drain, you rest or set space. Proverbs 20 verse 27 says the spirit of a person is the lamp of the Lord, searching all the inward parts. Let that lamp sweep the room. Let it sweep your own motives too. This is not revenge in the loud sense. This is spiritual justice through clarity. They cannot manage what they cannot mask in your field. Each time you choose truth over social pressure, the performance around you loses power. Boundaries form, peace grows, discernment becomes muscle memory. You arriving here is proof alignment is active. None of this reached you by coincidence. Comment energy if you have ever felt the smile but sensed the tremble beneath it, and share one scene. A dream, a meeting, a quiet dinner, where your body knew before the story cracked. Your reflection helps other chosen ones trust their own read. Stay close, because the next revelation shows what happens inside the room when your aura keeps shining. Why some retreat, why others cling, and how exposure unfolds even when you never speak. The field is already shifting. Let's look at how. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community. A private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us. The role of your aura as divine exposure. It started as a density you couldn't name. Rooms you once floated through began to feel thick, like walking through water while everyone else moved in air. Conversations left a faint ringing behind your ears. Plans that seemed open suddenly closed with odd timing. You would wake with a heaviness in the chest after gatherings that were, on paper, supportive. Something in the atmosphere dragged on you, and you carried that weight home without knowing why. It was not dramatic. It was subtle. Misplaced emails, mixed reactions, praise that came a beat late, as if an invisible hand kept nudging the scene off-center whenever you stood in your full self. Only later did you notice the pattern. The greater your clarity, the stranger the static. The more honest your presence, the more warped the air became around certain people. That warp was the first crack in the wall. Resistance was in the room before you knew your light was on. You remember the emotional bruise of it. Being told you were too intense, reading into things, making people uncomfortable. You learned to round your edges to stay invited. You laughed at jokes that dimmed you. You apologized for instincts that turned out right. Rejection did not always slam doors. Sometimes it smiled while stepping 2 inches back. Shame grew in those inches. You wondered why affection felt conditional. You wondered why closeness demanded that you shrink what you sensed. Self-doubt became a loop. Maybe I am dramatic. Maybe sensitivity is my flaw. Yet deep inside, a part of you kept shaking its head. It knew the math never added up. They said, "We love you," but only the version that stayed small. They said, "We support you," but went silent when your insight cut through the fog. That emotional pressure bent your posture until you thought bending was normal. But what if that pressure was diagnostic? Hidden systems react to light. Your aura is not decoration. It is function, like a lamp swung through a storage cellar. Proverbs 20 verse 27 speaks of the human spirit as a lamp that searches the inward parts. When that lamp burns, dust and locked trunks appear. Daniel 2 verse 22 points to the one who reveals deep and hidden things, who knows what lives in darkness. When you align with that current, the revealing does not stay abstract, it moves through you. So the pushback you met was not random dislike. It was the reflex of structures built on concealment. Think wilderness, Israel led out, met by scarcity tests that exposed what was in the camp. Think exile, identity challenged so true names could be reclaimed. Resistance gathered around you because exposure had begun, and systems that depend on shadows do not applaud fresh light. Turn back with me and scan your story under this lens. How many coincidental setbacks clustered right after you set a boundary? How many friendships cooled when you stopped oversharing? How many projects lost funding the week you insisted on transparency? When you replay the timeline, you'll see repeating signals, recurring betrayals in the same emotional flavor, environments that drained but never fed, support that evaporated when you declined to play the scapegoat. It's like flicking on a bare bulb in a basement and watching shapes jump from shadow to contour. Unsettling, yes, but clarifying. Once you map these loops, you stop blaming random fate and start seeing design. Your light entered, the mask slipped, the cycle attempted to reset, you felt crazy, you dimmed, the pressure eased. Pattern. Once seen, it cannot be unseen. On the level you cannot film, there is traffic. Energetic interference is real, though it often wears normal faces. Think of heavy air that meets you before a meeting, the mental fog that rolls in when you sit down to create, the sudden fatigue when a certain name appears on your screen. Ephesians 6 verse 12 reminds us our struggle is not only flesh and blood but powers, patterns, unseen rulers of atmosphere. In another story, a servant panicked at an encircling force until Elisha prayed and his eyes opened to the greater host. 2 Kings 6 verse 17. Perception changed the battle. In your life, closed doors may have been human decisions, yet the timing lined up with a wider push to mute you. Silent watchers, people who never comment yet track your steps, carry surveillance energy that tightens rooms. None of this is to scare you. It is to name the field so you can choose stance. Light draws moths and also things that hope to snuff candles. That you felt pressure proves you were lit. Inside you, the responses took shape. Some days you shut down and gave them the version of you they could handle. Other days you overperformed, flooding the room with kindness so no one would read your read. You may have rebelled in small ways, delaying replies, keeping certain insights off the table, building a hidden life where your intuition could breathe. Micah 7 warns of putting blind trust in even close circles when hearts are divided. It ends with a turn toward the holy, saying, I will watch, I will wait. Your own waiting taught you. You learned the cost of shrinking and the cost of speaking, and somewhere between you began to choose presence shaped by discernment rather than fear. This paragraph is not blame. It is mirror. You survived the pressure by adapting. Now you get to rewire. Then something shifts. The very resistance that once shamed you becomes evidence. If distortion chased you, it was because your aura forced decisions. Mark 4 verse 22 says, whatever is hidden is meant to be disclosed. Light guarantees reveal. Even a talking donkey once saw what a prophet missed and refused to move forward until the unseen barrier was named. Numbers 22. Creation will block what would injure calling. Likewise, the slow invitations, the pulled opportunities, the smear whispers, they mark where your field exposed unready ground. Reclamation begins when you read interference as a flag, not a verdict. You start guarding your hours. You stop entering rooms that feed on confusion. You pray before meetings not from fear but alignment. You bless and release those who recoil, because their recoil tells the truth faster than their language. Your lamp stops apologizing for shining. So here we stand at the threshold of clarity. You were opposed because you carry exposure. You were misread because your presence reads. The heavier the pushback, the more certain the calling. Comment aura if you have watched rooms thin out when you stopped dimming, and share one moment when resistance actually confirmed your path. Your story is instruction for someone still doubting their read. Stay close, because next we are going to open what many tried to hide behind kindness. The soft tones, the polite masks, the strategic praise, and why your gut kept tugging even when every word sounded sweet. The reveal is coming, and once you see it, you will not trade your light for access again. And to every soul who's supported with a super thanks, thank you. You are keeping this light alive for others who haven't found it yet. If you feel called to help this mission reach more chosen ones, tap the super thanks button below. Your energy supports these messages and helps them travel further. Your voice matters, your belief matters, and your light is felt here. What they tried to hide behind kindness, it can happen in a flash. You reread an old text thread, something small your friend wrote months ago, and a chill moves through you because now you hear the layer beneath the words. The same joke they used every time you shared a win suddenly reads like a lid. The echo you missed before is clear, as if ink that was invisible has lit up under new light. Memory rearranges itself. Scenes you filed as random awkwardness line up like markers on a hidden map. You feel taller inside, not because the past changed, but because your sight did. It's like when the travelers on the road to Emmaus later said, "Were not our hearts burning while the meaning opened?" You are in that burn now. Perception tilts, the veil thins, and what once confused you begins to align with a deeper truth moving through your story. Once your eyes adjust, you start noticing the code that has been speaking to you for years. Numbers that repeat on clocks the day you doubt yourself. Snippets of songs that land in grocery aisles right after you pray for a sign. The same uncommon phrase dropped by unrelated people within hours. Dreams that replay a hallway, a closed door, a key you never pick up. You are not chasing superstition. You are learning to read a symbolic language the soul understands long before the mind can diagram it. Think of it as divine math written across ordinary days. Proverbs 25 verse 2 says, "It is the glory of the holy to conceal a matter and the glory of kings to search it out." Your search has begun. Every kindness that came with a hook, every compliment that curved you inward, was part of the cipher. When you hold them together, the pattern starts to speak. As the code clarifies, your inner instruments sharpen. The stomach drop you once ignored now rings like a bell. Your body leans out of some conversations before your head knows why. Boundaries rise without drama. You just do not volunteer yourself where your fire is siphoned. Environments register faster. Some feed you, some drain you, some scramble your focus within minutes. Hebrews 4 verse 12 describes a word alive and active, sharper than any sword, dividing soul and spirit, judging the thoughts and intentions of the heart. That same cutting clarity wakes in you. You walk into a room and feel the split between sincerity and stagecraft as cleanly as temperature. This is not theory. You have lived this shift. You say less. You notice more. Your energy turns into a living detector that soft language can no longer bypass. The outer world answers the change. People who only loved the muted version of you text less. Those who thrive in truth step nearer. Projects that stalled crack open or fall away fast. You may see two doors in the same week. One glittering yet oddly heavy, another plain yet light in the chest. Invitations slow from circles that run on pretense. Resistance spikes where your clarity disrupts control. At the same time, new alignments surface in the oddest places. A message from someone you barely knew who says they've been waiting to collaborate. A chance meeting that solves a problem you carried alone. A resource you needed appearing after you released a false tie. 1 Corinthians 4 verse 5 promises that when the time comes, hidden things will be brought to light and the motives of hearts revealed. You are in that unveiling. The external rearrangement mirrors the internal upgrade. Architecture is showing. Then an older current stirs, something like sacred memory. You recall being young and reading the room before adults spoke, sensing when tension lived behind polite words. You remember dreams from childhood that showed doors with watchers beside them. At the time you thought it was fantasy. Psalm 78 verse 2 speaks of opening the mouth in parable and uttering dark sayings of old. Truths carried forward in story form until a generation can understand them. That is happening inside you. The old symbolic storage is unpacking. Images you shelved now translate. The ache you carried with no language comes back as instruction. The spiritual intelligence you parked to fit in reboots and starts downloading what you always knew but could not hold back then. When memory meets present sight, Destiny stops being a guess. You feel the line forward as something already written, waiting for you to step into it. Isaiah 60 verse 1 says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come and the glory has risen upon you." You hear that not as a slogan but as a lived pull. The future is less about inventing a path and more about remembering the one seated in you. You stop asking certain people for permission to do what burns true in your chest. You stop explaining your read when the fruit already tells the story. You start designing life around clear energy, not polite obligation. Destiny is the recall of why you were sent, and each reveal peels another cover off that core mission. Reclamation moves from idea to act the moment you refuse to accept kindness as proof without fruit. Matthew 7 verse 16 says, "You know them by their fruit." Fruit takes time, pattern, seasons. So you start tracking seasons. Who shows up when you rise? Who diverts when you speak vision? Who blesses in private the same way they bless in public? Gideon once smashed jars so the hidden torches could blaze before battle. Judges 7 verses 19 to 20. You are breaking the clay of false politeness so the real fire can show. Job 12 verse 22 says, "The divine reveals the deep things of darkness and brings gloom into the light." That reveal passes through you each time you name a subtle jab, each time you decline a shrinking praise, each time you claim space you earned. This is not cruelty. This is clean sight returning home. Revelation is doorway, not finish line. The truth was never waiting to shame you. It was waiting for you to be strong enough to hold what it showed. You are there. Comment reveal if you have ever felt kindness that carried an edge, and share a memory. A dream that warned you. A compliment that later showed motive. A moment when the mask slipped. So our community can learn the code together. Your reflection becomes light for another chosen one still decoding mixed signals. Stay with me because next we will step into how to trust what your spirit already knew even when no one confirmed it. The veil is open. Now we move through it. How to trust what your spirit already knew. You reach it in a breath you can no longer delay. The place where you ask yourself, do I still hand my knowing away, or do I stand in what my spirit said first? This is your crossroads. One path loops through old rooms where they talk you out of your own signals. The other path is unpaved but lit from within. Habakkuk said the vision waits, but it does not lie. The report your inner light filed has been waiting on your vote. You have watched masks slip. You have mapped patterns. You have felt the drain. Passivity is no longer neutral, it is agreement with distortion. Tonight you choose. Lay your hand on your own chest if you can and hear it. I will trust the witness in me before the chorus outside me. The line between what was and what must now begin is drawn right under your feet. Think of all you gave while doubting yourself. Late calls to soothe their storms, ideas poured into projects that erased your name, hours spent second-guessing a gut hit that proved true, the way you bent your tone so no one said you were harsh. None of that was wasted. It was training. Wilderness seasons look like loss until you see the muscle built in the wandering. Joel speaks of years the locust ate being restored. What was taken becomes seed for harvest when claimed. So call it back, your time, your voice, your clear sight. Say it if you can. I call my energy back from every room where I shrank to stay loved. I call my name back from every story told about me that I did not write. I call my fire back from praise that was really control. This is not drama. This is the returning of royal papers to the rightful bearer. Your throne is internal authority. Sit in it. Let's name what sits in that throne room. Sensitivity, that is calibrated radar. Intuition, that is encrypted divine messaging decoding in real time. Memory that won't let go of small details, that is an indexed archive, keys in a ring you carry in bone. Tears that rise when you sense falsehood, that is the alarm system testing volume. Paul told Timothy to stir up the gift placed in him. Gifts left dormant collect dust, but once stirred they burn. The boy Samuel heard a voice in the night others slept through. What was first mocked as confusion became the prophetic stream of a nation. What they called too much was always a signature mark. Armor can be light. Fire can be scroll. Discernment can be sword. Reach for each tool. Speak their true names. When tools are named, they can be used. You do not have to hunt some far future road. The path is already laid where your next obedient step meets present light. Israel saw the sea open only after moving toward it. Forward was commanded before the water split. Action draws map. As you choose truth in one conversation, the next stone appears. As you decline the draining invite, strength shows for the assignment that fits. Picture it like walking across letters that spell your calling. Each footfall lights the next glyph. You are not lost. You are mid-sentence in a story written long ago. Keep moving. Clarity ripens under motion, not debate. The compass is the piece that lands when choice and inner report match. If peace drops, you are on track. Lift your eyes and see the field. You are not the only one waking. Soul clusters are forming across cities, forums, kitchens, trains. People you have never met are feeling the same tug to stop dimming. It is Ezekiel's valley moment. Bones long scattered begin to click back into frame when breath moves. You will know your tribe by the way your light relaxes in their company, by fruit that matches speech, by honor that does not compete. Do not twist to fit what is dissolving. Let the old social skin shed. A rising order gathers not around ego, but around shared alignment to the real. When chosen ones stand together, distortion loses staging ground. Community is a force field. Step into it. Command of energy now matters. Not ego command, stewardship. Luke says the lamp of the body is the eye. If your lens is clear, your whole being fills with light. Guard that lens. Choose what you watch before sleep. Bless your space when you enter. Close loops that leak. Endless doom scrolls, calls that leave you shaking, tasks you take to prove worth. Set simple rules with your spirit. I speak when led. I rest when drained. I do not trade clarity for access. Like priests tending flame in the temple, you tend charge in your field. Pour where soil receives. Withdraw where light is siphoned. This is ceremony lived as daily rhythm. Hear me now. Everything you have felt, feared, seen, and survived has led to this activation. You are ready. The late confirmations were mercy, not delay. They let your roots go deep so the wind of exposure would not snap you. Ephesians says what light touches becomes light. You are that process in motion. No need to replay every odd compliment. Verdict has been read. No need to convince them. Fruit will testify. Walk forward and watch habit break. The chase for proof, the need to be believed, the urge to shrink. You stand in verdict already rendered by the witness within. Portal open. Step. Revelation without embodiment is smoke. This is summons. Comment trust if you are ready to live by the first report of your spirit, and add a personal reflection. A dream that warned you, a gut check that saved you, a season where space brought peace. So others in this community can see discernment in action. Your share becomes map for someone still stuck at the crossroads. Stay with me, because in the expansion we will gather all these awakenings. Energy, aura, reveal, trust, and shape them into a daily path you can walk with strength. The light you carry is about to scale. Are you coming? You dream you are standing in a dark concert hall before the music starts. Every instrument is silent, yet a single tuning fork rings somewhere off stage and the whole space vibrates to meet it. When you wake, the image stays because it names what has been happening in your life. Your frequency has been sounding before any conversation begins, and rooms have been revealing themselves by how they respond to that pitch. Moments that once looked random, invites that stalled, praises that bent, exits that hurt, now line up like the way hidden ink glows under black light. Clarity is rising through memory. The echo in your chest that said something's off was the tuning fork. Chosen one, your silence was never emptiness. It was signal. It was lamp. It was audit. The ones who mocked your signal can no longer contain the truth rising in its glow. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Like this video, and comment I am chosen to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. For full prophetic revelations daily, join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And if this message moved you deeply, consider tapping the Super Thanks button to support the mission. Every Super Thanks fuels the light we're spreading together. Thank you to all supporting members. You make space for these messages to reach those still searching. Keep your lamp high,